Welcome back, folks. Sheepdog Smokey here, and happy hump day. It has been an interesting day for me leading up to making this because I've seen a couple of things that honestly confirm a lot of things I've been hearing that show the media, the Democrats, and the Republicans who stand with them, and liberal Hollywood and everyone else in the horrific light that they should be shown in. And it just proves to me that we have an epidemic going back 30 years. That epidemic is a horrible education system. I graduated high school in 1995. I can remember my classes and just infinitesimal things. My science teachers talked about science. My history teachers talked about history. Math about math. English about English. That was it. The only classes that I got any politics in were history, government, economics, and junior ROTC. I didn't even hear teachers talking amongst each other about politics in the hallway. They were very, very circumspect about even letting their views be known. And that's honestly the way it should be. I've said before, I have taught in the classroom. Granted, I was a substitute teacher, but I was still a teacher. And my job was to educate that class on the subject they were in that room to be educated upon. I can remember teaching history, political science, economics, my area of study. And kids ask very honest questions. And I'm not talking high schoolers. I typically taught middle schoolers because that's where they needed the most help. High schoolers are very much learning how to converse with adults. High school classes are more of a conversational style for me. I want to engage the students. I'm not simply going to stand up and talk about how in 1692 this happened, and then how in 1770 this happened, and then in 1865 this war ended. I'm not going to go through and just talk. I want to ask them questions. I want to know what they're thinking about the topic, not just what they know about the topic. Because the social sciences are, in my opinion, equally as important as biology, algebra, geography. Geography is one of them. English, chemistry, any of those. You need to know your rights. You need to know how society functions. You need to know how to figure out mathematical equations. You need to understand life science. You need to know how economics works. All of these things, they're equally important. But right now, education is sitting at a point where social sciences are taught part-time. I've said before, I can't find a job teaching full-time secondary social studies, to the point where I would have to go back and retest for certification now because they aren't hiring people who don't also coach. And yes, I know I could say I could teach weight training. I know how to safely work out in a gym. You need a spotter, you need to understand how things work, you need to make sure you're not trying to overdo it, all of these things. But I don't want that. I don't want to do that where I'm having to do a second job so that I can part-time teach and just make sure they get the bare minimum information. And sadly, that leads to people in society who honestly do not understand the very basics of economics. I saw a conversation, and I try to stay out of these. Honestly, I do, because I know I get passionate about things, and I don't like doing this over the internet in a comment thread. This medium that I have allows me to express myself fully. But it was basically another one of those, we have to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I didn't make the equivalent of $15 an hour until I was managing my own photo lab for a very large drugstore chain. I had been assistant manager where I all but ran the place because the manager had to supervise 5 different photo labs. So 9 out of 10 days, if not 19 out of 20 days a month, I was running that lab. This was, granted, 20 to 25 years ago, but I was making the equivalent then of about $10 an hour, living at home. Because I thought I wanted to move up in the company, and ultimately I thought I wanted to be running a region. Found out things about the company that made me realize I didn't. Looking back, I'm rather glad that I found out those things and made a change, because technology changing how it has put photo labs out of business. But I ended up moving into customer service. Ultimately, that led me to where I am today, where at the age of 28, I wanted to go back to college, and I found a way to do it. And ultimately ended up in IT. But that was not a wage that I could, have a car and a place of my own when I was making it. Once I got my own photo lab, I could have. And luckily, I found out the things I did before I tried all that, so that I didn't take on the responsibility and then have to give it up. But there are just certain truths that need to be understood. There are certain jobs that do not deserve $15 an hour. These jobs are meant as entry-level jobs, or should be part-time when you need a little extra cash. If I was saving up for a large project or for a vacation, I would happily go sit and monitor a gas station at a grocery store on weekends. Get 16, 20 hours a week extra there at probably $7, $8 an hour. I would not argue with it, because it was my choice to take on that very, very much unskilled job and basically be a glorified babysitter for a building. That job is not meant to be a career. It is not meant to be more than a temporary thing. It is meant for people entering the workforce until they move on or move up. But I've worked many of those jobs. I definitely agree that the whole idea of a tipping-based salary should be eliminated. Wait staff, delivery drivers, and so on, they should be paid the same as any other employee of the company. When you start off, you are entry level, but you make that salary. Make a tip or a gratuity what it should be, a gift, not something that people depend on. I don't really support legislating it and mandating it. Honestly, I expect the food service industry to drastically change after having gone through this, but that's a topic for another time. One of the comments, and I see this on virtually every thread of this topic, is, why should a burger flipper be paid $15 an hour when there are IT workers being paid the same? People who have studied for a long time to get that job. And $15 an hour is probably, I would say it's probably entry level for a lot of IT jobs. You quickly move up and you can make more. But if your job is literally to cook from rote memorization, burger patty, flip, on the bun, cheese, lettuce, bun, that job does not require any skill. That job could be done by a robot. It could be done by a child if it was safe to let them do it. That job is meant, honestly, for high school kids and right out of high school until they go to college. If I was managing a McDonald's, I would honestly, I would headhunt high school seniors. And I'd hire 3 times as many as I need because I don't want them working full-time hours. It would be, this job is a 16 to 24, maybe 32-hour a week job. This is for you to earn a little extra cash. This is not a full-time gig. And I would heavily encourage them to pursue an education if they want a career that requires it, whether that be automotive tech school or college or anything else, beauty school. I don't want an adult who needs to support a family in a job where I can't pay them more. And I would be very happy to see a turnover every year, because that means my employees are bettering themselves. Some of them are going to move up. They're going to want to become a line supervisor, or maybe an assistant manager, or whatever else it may be. So no, I don't support $15 an hour for those unskilled jobs. I mowed yards in high school. I had a push mower, and I walked up and down my street, and I gave people my information, and I mowed several yards regularly. I typically made $20 to $40 a yard. That's a couple of hours, or more, depending on the yard. Typical 1/8 acre lot is about 1.5 to 2 hours. So that's $10 roughly an hour. I made good money because I was good at it. But then I got a real job and I realized I was making less. That motivated me to move up and eventually to move on. But I also vote with my wallet. You see, I don't go to McDonald's, Burger King, places like that. Not because they're paying minimum wage, because they're spending as little money as possible on their product. There's a reason the Big Mac is proportionally the same price it was when it was first created. Cost hasn't gone up. They haven't changed in decades. It is the lowest quality that is approved and safe to serve. To me, it's bland. And I don't like it. I will pull through a McDonald's drive-thru to get, well, in this case it was Rose's Cafe, but I'll pull through a McDonald's drive-thru to get a soda when I'm on a road trip. Other than that, I pack my own food and I eat ham sandwiches while I'm on the road. There's a burger joint, maybe 3 or 4 miles thereabout from me. Serves one of the absolute best hamburgers you will ever eat that you did not cook yourself. Burger and fries cost you about $12. That's with a drink. I can go to McDonald's and get a hamburger, medium fries, and medium drink for about $3, $4. So it's anywhere from 3 to 4 times the price. They're not spending a lot more because they buy just good beef, which you can get inexpensively. Lettuce ain't that expensive, neither are tomatoes or the other things. But they pay their staff much better. I know the people who run it. I made sure I went and met them because I love to cook and I love to eat. You can tell. So when I find a place like that, I like to introduce myself and I like to say, "Dang, that was amazing. You guys are doing a great job." If I go out to a restaurant and the waiter or waitress bust their rump to make sure I have a great experience, I tell the manager. But in this case, I got to know the people running the place, and a lot of times it's the owner or manager running the grill. The wait staff are paid better than they are in most restaurants that are large chains. So I go to places like that, or I cook. I don't go to steakhouses because, 1, they're not good, and 2, I can actually eat a steak that's better than Cattleman's or Texas Roadhouse or whatever for less than half the price at home. I can do that on a George Foreman, let alone a barbecue grill. That's what induces a business to change. The two local Chick-fil-A franchises in my area, they're actually owned by the same person. And there's a Chicken Express that's owned by people my parents know. They take very, very good care of their employees. They're run by people who have a heart for people. They are businesses that I will patronize. Not only because they have good food for fast food, but because they care for their employees. And I've let those places like that know, I'm coming to you because you treat your people right, and I can see that in the way they are when I come in. I walk into the Chick-fil-A I go to most often. They've gotten to know me. They smile and ask me how I'm doing. If I walked into KFC, it's what do you want? And it's basic food when I go there, so I don't go there. If I have a choice, I go somewhere else. If I don't, sometimes I have to. You know, feeding 4, 5, 6 people, $20 bucket of chicken will do it. But I don't do it that often. And that is what should happen. I am very much a libertarian and an originalist. Government should be as small as possible. For one reason, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. One need only look at any royal family anywhere on the planet at any point through history. Henry VIII literally kicked the Roman Catholic Church out of England and created his own church with himself at the head of the church so he could get a divorce because his wife hadn't born a son. The current royal family of England has so many people in it that are likely to be implicated in child abuse that it should result in an uprising in the country, but it won't. There are hundreds of people in Congress alone right now that firmly believe they are above the law because they hold an elected position. That's why government should be small. Power is addictive. There are a couple of people that I campaigned for still in Congress. One of them I campaigned for 16 years ago, and honestly, it's time for him, it's past time for him to get out of that office, out of that town. I met Louis Gohmert in Tyler, Texas in late October 2004. Kate Granger, my local representative, was not up for re-election, so she reached out and we went to help Louis Gohmert in Tyler against Max Sandlin, a Democrat incumbent. I met Louis, got to talk to him. Not for a long time, I doubt he'll remember me. But he is a good man, he is an honest man, and he is a very hard-working man. But he has been in the midst of the swamp for 16 years almost. It's time for Louis to get out because it will corrupt him, even minimally, and I don't want to see that happen. That is why government should be small. If people decided, I don't like that McDonald's pays their burger flippers minimum wage, and just quit going to McDonald's, and made sure that it was well known why they're not going to McDonald's, you'd be amazed how quick McDonald's does one of a few things. Most likely, they'll just start closing down locations. Franchises will become prohibitively expensive, so people aren't opening them. Number 2, they'll get rid of burger flippers and go automated. They'll get rid of cashiers and go to kiosks. There's one near me with a self-service kiosk. Literally, you place your order, go up, show the one person at the counter your receipt, they give you your cup and you go get your stuff, and then they call your name. Or option 3, they'll realize we're a multi-billion-dollar-a-year company. Maybe we could change a little bit. if people quit ordering from Amazon and made sure Bezos know it's because of what your employees are paid and how they're treated. Bezos would at first, I guarantee, try to go automated. It would fail utterly, and he would realize that he needs people. He would then realize, maybe I should treat them better. If working conditions alone improved, a lot of people would be happy, but then it wouldn't be everyone. When you mandate something, businesses see it as a cost. I can guarantee you the CEOs of even the best, most wonderful personnel or staffed companies at the top echelons, if you mandate $15 an hour as minimum wage, their bean counters are going to say, well, this is a cost of doing business. We have to pass the costs of doing business onto the consumer, so prices will have to adjust. It's the same as when electricity goes up. Natural gas goes up. Property taxes go up. Companies see those as very simple costs of doing business. They don't see people not coming in the door as the same. You have to understand psychology, sociology, social psychology, and so many more things. Your bean counters, accountants, they look at a very simple equation. Money coming in, money going out. Money coming in is income. Money going out is expenses. You can't make them treat people better by increasing expenses. You can't affect how they think by increasing expenses. If you absolutely called it a fine for mistreating your employees, they would think, I'm not going to change. So fine, I'll pay the fine. It's the same mentality as the uber rich who don't care that they've added 1,000 tickets in 10 years for speeding. They don't care that they get pulled over every morning on the way to work and every day on the way home because they don't wear a seatbelt. They see it as, it's just a cost. If you impact their income, that will open their eyes and grab their attention faster than holding up an Oreo cookie in front of a 4-year-old. You want to get someone locked on you with laser focus. If it's a 4-year-old, hold up a cookie. If it's a teenager, hold up the keys to a car. If it's a college student, hold up the chance to relax for a weekend. And if it's a company executive or accountant, make their income go down. Don't make their expense go up. I guarantee you, income going down, meaning, well, our taxes are the same. It costs the same to buy the meat and other food. It costs the same to run everything. Our costs have not gone up. Why is my profit down? Not as many people are coming in and ordering the food. Why? Here's what everybody says on social media. We have to do something. I want them coming back in the doors. That's how you get it done. It's amazing. Whenever there was a call from the Uber left to boycott Chick-fil-A, their profits soared. Because the people who frequent Chick-fil-A are one of 3 groups. And it's very simple. You have the diehards. It's the food. They don't care. And I'll agree, Chick-fil-A is far better than pretty much every fast food chicken place out there, other than getting actual fried chicken from somewhere like Chicken Express. You want nuggets or a chicken sandwich, you go to Chick-fil-A if you don't have time to go somewhere else, an actual restaurant. Number 2, people who have no choice. They don't eat beef, but they aren't going vegetarian and there's no fish place around. Chick-fil-A is the best tasting out there. They'll go to Chick-fil-A because they want chicken. They're not diehards that will go to Chick-fil-A over somewhere else because it's Chick-fil-A. They just go to Chick-fil-A because they get good value for money and good food. And they can't go anywhere else. And group 3, the people who absolutely love the company. Dan Cathy, Stuart Cathy. It's been well known for years that both were very, very conservative Christian men. When Dan Cathy gave his personal opinion about marriage, the left lost their ever-loving mind. Nowhere in any form at all did the company operate on Dan Cathy's personal beliefs. They treat everyone equally. They serve good food at a reasonable price. That's it. That's all there is. I know for a fact that I have had friends of every political persuasion. I've seen people that I know diametrically oppose Dan Cathy's personal beliefs. Go into Chick-fil-A, and they are treated with the utmost kindness, respect, and served a meal at a good price. Chick-fil-A doesn't care who you are. I remember an ice storm in North Texas. It hit Denton really hard. A Chick-fil-A franchisee opened up, called his people. They started producing bags of food and walking them up to cars on the highway because they couldn't get off the highway and get to safety. Chick-fil-A showed up at the Pulse shooting blood drive. Didn't say a word about anything other than, you're giving blood, here's a sandwich. They don't care who you are. Dan Cathy, as a person, as a private citizen, was asked his personal opinion, and people freaked out. And Chick-fil-A was not affected. But McDonald's refuses to pay people more than minimum wage when they are first starting out. Liberals demand the government mandate a higher salary. They don't say, boycott McDonald's until they pay more. They want to boycott Chick-fil-A because their CEO has a personal opinion, but they won't boycott McDonald's and cardboard cheese because they don't pay what someone in that group thinks McDonald's should pay. It boggles the mind. The answer to that company's single employee at that level has a personal belief I disagree with. We have to cripple the company. This company, on the other hand, is not paying people what I think they should be paid. I'm still going to go eat there, and I'm just going to demand the government step in and rule that they have to pay more. It will result in businesses closing. Some of them because they're too small to absorb the cost increase. Others because they will raise prices, and then when their income goes down, they will trim expenses by closing restaurants. Uber large companies are not run on emotion. They're not run on social mores. They're run on the almighty dollar. If you increase expense, they increase the price. If you cut their income, they want to find out why and change to make the income go back up. This has been a long one. I know I've gone on longer than I normally do, but it is a subject very near and dear to my heart because it is part of the social sciences. And as I've said, that's what I studied in college. Those were the classes I absolutely adored in high school. So that's the subject that I do the most research on. Now, granted, I will admit that as soon as I'm done recording, I'm going to start reading. My amazing parents picked this up for me today because they know when I told them about it that I was planning to get it, they just said, we'll get it. And I've wanted to read it since I heard about it. So I'm going to still do these, but might be a little slow on responding to comments. I do want to know what you think, though. So let me know. Just remember, be civil. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, libertarian. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you're black, white, red, yellow, pink with purple polka dots from the planet Ragu, ruled by the flying spaghetti monster. Be civil and we can discuss and debate as civil adults. As always, please remember to like and share the video. It widens the conversation, but it also grows the channel. I am doing the giveaway, 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers. But I got to get there to do it. So make sure to subscribe. Turn on those notifications so you know about all of the new content as it posts. And until next time, everybody have a wonderful day.